Hello, everyone. We are recording, which is a famous thing that all sound engineers say to musicians just before they go to the toilet. And we will be talking to Michael about that any minute now after this quick video.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Michael, thank you so much for joining me again. We nearly didn't make it because the technology is, an absolute B word. But there we go. Never mind. It's a Friday. We can forgive the technology. That's the thing.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. Now, listen. Before we start talking about the new album, which is yet again your best yet, you bastard.
That's some nice words. Thank you.
You just keep getting better. How dare you? Let's just start with that whole sound engineer thing. I don't know. Have you seen doing the rounds on the old Instagram? I don't know whether you spend any time on Instagram at all. But have you seen the funny sketch that's on there doing the rounds at the moment, where the sound engineer is at the board and he's busy pressing all of these buttons at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and the record execs stood behind him and he's getting all excited about what's coming out and whatever, and then they sort of pan round to the other side and this woman's absolutely murdering this song. What's actually coming out of her mouth is dreadful, and of course it's basically what it's saying is it's the sound engineer that's making it all sound good, and which is why he's doing that.
Yeah, there are definitely tricks and stuff for the less talented, which I think leads to a lot of music and a lot of really bad music, which I think makes it harder to kind of than the days of past to actually find the gems.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. So let's talk about, obviously, within the roster of the people that you work with, there's very little of that goes on because they can all actually do what they're meant to do on the tin. They're all very Ronseal, aren't they?
Yeah, we've been really blessed that I've never, have that email come back and going, "Hey, I finished your track. What do you think?" And then have it play back, and Michael Rozon and I go, "Oh shit," that would be a really awkward situation because I do really value everyone's time, but the people that we work with and are pros. I'm really fortunate that we continue, to expand our family and have people, some famous, some less famous, but the less famous people are sure as hell no less talented. Because doing this for a while, I think I found that fame and talent don't always go hand in hand.
No, I think that's a given, really. The album's called Dancing with Angels. Now, there's a couple of things here, right? One is you're the second person this week who, if I get this story right, happened upon a piece of art and found that piece of art to be very inspirational, and then that's ended up on the cover, and it's actually kind of impacted the overall album as well. You can go back and watch the other interview at your leisure, but I spoke to a jazz musician called Sefi from Israel who found a piece of art in a museum over there, which kind of captured him, and that took him on a journey. But that's an amazing story, isn't it? And I love the way that different art forms can come together like that and be so inspirational to someone that's really open.
Yeah, I think Marin's art, who's the German artist who have become friends with just over social media and stuff. Well, social media, but it kind of tied the record together. The record was originally going to be called Echoes and Angels. So in the beginning, angels have always been in my head because not pushing my faith on anybody, but I think we all can agree in today's screwed up world, we can use some angels, whatever that happens to be in your life. guardian angel or something, because it's not a pretty place out there at some points. But then she started sending. She had sent me the sketch that she had started, and it was kind of a dancing angel, and that it just seemed to fit. And it was kind of a theme, at least in my head, as we finished up the records, the songs on the record. And I think it's a wonderful cover that just ties it. And then she came back and sent the other picture, which is on the back of the record, which is just sort of the angel from behind. And it's I think we've had fantastic covers, which is always my love for why I don't just do a digital release, that it's still in my head, old school or not, that 12 vinyl, that I remember actually sometimes buying records just simply due to the cover. Not always the best move, but for the most part, this just fits. And I kind of sent the name, the semi-finished piece of her art in the music to the singers, and we kind of got, I just put it in their head, and some people used it a little more literal than others, but it was kind of a nice thread to wrap up the 8 songs.
Yeah, no, really great. I can see the bit of art in the background behind you there.
On there, on my shirt.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
We're trying. I was actually saying to Sephi yesterday, because he was saying, that this piece of art that he saw, that he wondered how many people would actually get to see it, and he kind of felt a responsibility once he'd put that piece of art on the cover, because now it's going to travel around the world. Do you kind of feel the same? You kind of putting someone's art out there.
Yeah, but I'm grateful that she allowed us to use it. No strings attached, and I think it fits, and I'm proud to have it as the cover of the record. And I think I'm all as an artist, I think I'm always looking for that spark, whether it's a sound or something, just to kind of find that like beacon in the distance to go, okay, that's where we're going. And her cover, some new sounds, new little boxes on the floor that I plug into.
Yes.
I've delved into a few different guitar tunings on this record, just something to try not to repeat, because I think as a guitarist, as one, I'm certainly a limited guitar player, but something that just finds a spark, like it just, so some of the tunings and things like that just kind of sent some songs down a path that maybe normally wouldn't have happened. And it was kind of my partner in this, Michael Rozon, is very musical theory literate, and I'm always the one, like, he's going, what's that? Like, what's this chord and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll
show you.
I'm gonna throw him for a loop. So came back in, he looked at me and he saw me tuning differently, then put a capo on the guitar, and I would play something. He goes, oh, that's a gorgeous chord. And then he would sit there on the piano and go, and that's a B minor 7th with a 13th on top. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. And in my head, I'm going, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it works. I
Sounds
think,
good to me.
I think a bit of my naivety and his knowledge, I think good bedfellows in this.
Yeah, no, I think that always makes a good partnership, actually, in music, is someone that's, has got a bit more of the theory, and then someone that's got, I won't say got a bit more of the ear, but has learned to play by ear, and has learned to play by emotion, and has, writes from a place of experimentation. I think it always comes together really well.
I think we're a good mix of finding, a lot of times, for me, especially in like, the guitar solo sections, like, okay, now it's time for that. And I'm sure not going to sit there and do guitar gymnastics, but a lot of it, usually that isn't planned out or worked out, at least not for me. And a lot of times I do like the first or second time through, what just kind of comes out from emotion rather than overthinking. And this is our fourth record together, fourth studio album. And I think we've really found, I think each record has changed. And I think one thing that we've done different this time is I think we've collaborated more with the singers, which what I mean by the first record, we sent 98% finished music. It was because I didn't have the singers all. I didn't really know how we were going to do this thing. And so it's putting parts on, and it could have been an instrumental record, not a great one, but because there was parts everywhere. So this time, I think we've sent more stripped down music that left more space. So when the singer got it, they were more free with their melody and things like that. And then when it came back, we added.
And you knew where to go with it.
Around that. And I think we've gotten better each album, giving the singer more free reign. And even though we're never this record, we were never in the room with any of the singers, it felt more like it because it was like, okay, he left a hole there. We'll do this around that, as opposed to, I imagined on some of the other records, maybe they were a little tethered to having to work around what we did. So I think that's improvement. And I mean, you gotta learn. I mean, this is an interesting project. I hate that word, but an interesting process. When you're writing something, not necessarily knowing who is going to sing it, but been really blessed. People go, "You're just so great at matching up with the singer," and I mean, that's certainly a compliment. I don't know if there's a method to my madness. Something just kind of tells me, hey, let me send it to this one. I can kind of hear this person's voice or their nuances on it, and it just seems to work. And I think it works really well on this record. A step back to some of the old singers that have been on the first couple of records, and I think we got some fantastic new people as part of our family.
Yeah. Now, I think you said somewhere in the notes for this record or on the press release somewhere, and I can hear that you kind of step back a little bit to go forward on this. And you can definitely hear there's some elements of this where you've gone right back into sort of like 80s sounds, and you've gone, and you've kind of taken it back to kind of, probably some of my favorite early Mission type albums and stuff. And, you can kind of hear that. You've even got Mr. Hussey to do that break in his voice on Diving for Pearls, which was absolutely tremendous. And then at other times you've really experimented, and you've, especially with the little halo things, they're quite modern in a way, but they're also, part of that kind of 1970s, concept album type thing as well. So it's a real kind of go back, come forward, and that's wonderful.
I mean, I think that first record, going back to Finding Beauty in Chaos, that had that 80s element. I mean, that's where I cut my teeth. So anything outside of that, pretending or trying to be some super new modern hip thing is just dishonest. And it's, I think if there's a thread through all of our albums, it's honesty. And that is, whether I'm musically stunted to be in the 80s, I mean, that's okay. That was probably, 60s, 70s, and 80s is arguably the best times in music. I don't think people are going to be looking back to music from the 2020s as something that's as influential as stepping back, to where we draw from. And
well, we never know. I mean, it might be that what comes in the future is just so dreadful that
think we're on that path.
Yeah, let's hope not. But
But yeah, you see bands that are going back and seeing elements of The Cure and Depeche Mode and then even some of the, Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and that stuff that was groundbreaking. And of course the fantastic 60s and 70s. But yeah, that's just me. I mean, that's where I really became a guitar player, or, stunted or not, sounds in those that part. And yeah, that is in the album. We will certainly always keep our foot on that bass, and then be able to step outside a bit of the shoegazy noise stuff, and then dream pop. And I mean, I hate labels and stuff like that. I mean, Beauty and Chaos starts from what happens when I pick up a guitar and plug into a bunch of boxes. Whatever racket comes out, it turns to that. And then we get these fantastic singers that just turn these pieces of music to songs. It comes back. It now has a name. It has melody. And you mentioned Wayne again. I mean, Diving for Pearls to me might be one of the top 3 songs we've written. I mean, and he took, again, it's in typical Wayne fashion. I mean, I'm blessed to have become really good friends with him. I mean, him and Cynthia are just wonderful people, but it's always the same dance we do. I go, hey man, working on a new record. I'd love to have you on it again. Sounds great, Michael. Send it over. I'm so empty on lyrics. It's always, he always prefaces it with that. And then he sent back this. And I'm just going, you bastard. It's like, I mean, it's poetic, it's open-ended, and yeah. So
yeah, I'd hate to see what you were like when you were full, if that's empty. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that was wonderful. But again, some of the new people getting back to being able to work with, and Cynthia Isabel, I wanted her part of Behind the Veil. It just didn't work out time-wise, and it lined up this time, and that was one of the first songs that we completed. And I think that song's just fantastic.
Yeah, no, totally agree. There's a little bit of wordplay there right at the beginning. Present text, clever.
Tense.
Well, is it tense?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Because it's come through on the thing as text.
Oh. No, it should be tense.
On the file.
Oh, should be tense. Yeah, that's I've known William.
That was undeliberate then.
Yeah. That's that AI shit creeping in.
Yeah. Don't let ChatGPT write your album list for you. It's great. It's a great song. Great song. But listen, one song that I do want to pick up on, right, is because I just want to know, there's a moment in here, and I just want to know how you actually capture this sound, right at the beginning of Kiss Me Goodbye, I think it is. There's the sound of what almost sounds like the guitar being plugged in, or just kind of the guitar kind of on fuzz before it comes in. How do you actually capture that sound?
It was, I mean, that was me plugging in, like you
just plugging in. Yeah.
It was, the guitar was, I think we probably started with a different guitar, and Michael probably said, oh, it's, one of his colorful descriptions, fuzzy, muddy, pokey, icy. And, I have to translate, I guess he doesn't like the sound. So I think I unplugged the guitar. I was sitting on the ground, went, all right, well, fuck, I'm going to try this guitar, picked it up, put it in, went, tuned it, and he just, one thing with Michael
in there.
Yeah, it just seemed like a cool way to start it. He's always recording, to where every take, everything that we can always go back and find something, hey, this, what you were hitting at here, let's expand that. And that was just there. And it just always kept, as we listened back and did overdubs, it was there. Probably initially with the idea of, just editing and have it start with the guitar, but it just kind of lived. And when it wasn't there, it seemed wrong. And in my head, I always think in terms of vinyl, which is, and I always think of the needle drop. So on side, I definitely had the idea of present tense with that whole long building intro felt
I was
like
going to say, yeah, it's
what
a complete juxtaposition from the first song, isn't it? Because
yeah, it seems like that
build,
the needle drop. And then I knew when Ashton completed Made of Rain, which I just love, I just went that should be the closer. And it was just filling in, juggling what should go where. But for Kiss Me Goodbye, it just in my head, I always have that idea. You come home, you flip the record over, put it down, and there's a like something that jolts you like a second going, what's that? And then the song kicks in.
I think sonically it's brilliant. Honestly, I think this album is just brilliant from start to finish.
There's some, I mean, I think it's a good mix of there is that, beauty, which is where I kind of came up with the name way back. There's that beauty, clean, chorusy, echo, delayed, texture, guitars, and there's chaos. There's always these elements of kind of abrasive, more screwed up sounds. And I think that's going to kind of always be the underlying thing that ties the songs together.
Yeah, it almost feels to me like every album you make is making you younger, Michael. Is
Are you saying visually? Thank God the hair stays. I think that, I mean, I think music does keep us younger. It keeps us with a foot, in the past. I think we always, maybe you don't notice it when you're in it, but I think there's that romantic look back at those were better times. I firmly believe it was better time in music. I mean, you take it, we're still, or I'm still waiting for a new Cure album, just like I did in the 80s. And
every time we have this interview, we're waiting for the new Cure album. We keep saying it's coming. And I mean, I think this is the fourth time we've met now. And I think last time we met, he was promising to drop 2 albums.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't done any of them.
I was told it's in mastering. I think that's going to be a beautiful
Christmas. I want it for Christmas.
I mean, you can go on YouTube and there's a couple of really great board mixes of all the new songs I've played. So I think we're going to get that kind of dreary record. At least I know I've wanted as the follow-up to Blood Flowers, like the trilogy and whatever comes after Tree. I think if those songs all go on that album, it's going to be wonderful.
No, absolutely.
But I'll go on record saying we've done 4 studio albums, and they haven't put out one yet. So come on.
Oh, there's still time, Robert. Just
I know. Maybe we'll get 5 out.
Yeah. It's almost a race now. It almost feels like you should have a race now to see whether you can get a 5th one out before he does it. We hope not. We hope not.
Yeah, me either. We are following that. I guess what has become our pattern of a remix record, and whether it drives people crazy or not, I love the concept. I loved it when it first happened by accident, of just kind of taking the tracks and handing them to people. And we've started that. Actually, as we were finishing up some of it, I jumped ahead and started sending tracks and tempos to people. So this should be interesting. I hope to actually have it out before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Listen, once again, as usual, thank you so much for coming. You've sent me stuff in the past. I'm actually going to send you some stuff now, because I've finally got some merch of my own. So I have got some little badges. Look at that.
Well, look at you.
Yeah.
All like punk rock stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was going for, so you can stick them on your satchel and all of that sort of thing, like we used to back in the day.
Yeah.
Or on your shoelaces. I don't know. Did you used to wear did you used to wear badges on your shoelaces? I certainly did.
No, I think I used to have some weird chains around my boots back in the day.
Chains. Yeah.
So probably you
We're-
can get that stuff now at Hot Topic.
We're going to finish this interview today by talking about the most obscure footwear that we've ever worn. The most obscure footwear that I ever wore live, Michael, was a pair of transparent DM boots. So they were completely see-through.
Wow.
And I used to fill them with jelly and ice cream once I put my foot in.
I think I remember way back seeing a picture of Elton John with these clear boots that had goldfish in them or something.
Right.
It's like, I guess money can buy you anything you dream up.
Well, mine wasn't quite as, fancy as that, but you used to be able to buy DM boots that were completely transparent, and I thought this was great stagecraft. I thought, what can you then put in it?
Yeah,
I tried all sorts of weird things. I think I even stained my feet so that they glowed in the dark at one point.
You try anything, it's showmanship for sure. Have you got to see the last two videos?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic.
Really happy with them. I thought the one we did with Wayne perfectly captured that song, and then the most recent one with Patrik, who I've met Patrik 25 years ago, and we kind of reconnected. Kommunity FK was a big darkwave band when I first moved here, and I think we went into that. The song happened, and then visually, I think we captured that moment of time, that whole dark wave scream scene that was so great in Los Angeles when we moved out here. That happened to be going along on the same time as all the hair metal bands, so it was such a different time that all coexist together. But yeah, really happy. And there are two more filmed and being edited for the album. So
I always love your videos. I always find that happens actually in music. It's interesting, isn't it? How you get, quite often you do get, coming out at the same time, quite juxtaposed strands of music coming out. I mean, that you wouldn't think would sit next to each other at the same time, but it just happens that way.
Yeah, music, that's what music's meant to be, at least honest music, and I know I keep using that word, but that when I listen to our records, it's like, okay, we're not trying to pretend to be anything we're not. And I think that's the artists I respect. I know I put in that category as honest and true.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of conversations this week across a lot of different sectors about honesty in music, etc. And I think it's we live in dangerous times when it comes to that, because I think there's a lot of pseudo personality out there, and sort of faking it. It's dangerous. I think people need to be honest, and I think people mistake. I'm going to say that I'm going to go into a quick rant now. I think this is an important thing. I think people mistake authenticity and honesty with just agreeing with everybody, because that isn't the same thing. Actually, I think honesty actually in everything, including the arts, etc., comes from a place of really getting to being honest with people and saying, I don't like that, and but yeah, I need to learn from this, and but being open to learning and being open to being wrong, and being open, but at the same time making sure you put your opinion across. I think that's really important. And I think sometimes where we've got to nowadays, including with music, is we've got to a point of sacchariness in a lot of things, and that's what makes it fake, because people are just doing it without saying no necessarily. They're doing it without saying, well, actually, that's rubbish. Why would I put my name to that?
I think it's coming because everybody's bought into that soundbite world, whether it's, you know, news, anything. It's just this short little bit, and you know, music is falling into that TikTok 30-second world. And I don't think people. I think music's become background to people. Like I don't think they sit and dedicate the time to actually hear it like we used to. And I guess there's one point why I'm adamant about putting vinyl out, whether it's, I mean, I know it's expensive and everything, but I think if someone is going to choose to listen to a piece of music on vinyl, one, I think they have a decent stereo system, like quality wise, like you're going to sit and not like listen to it on one of these things, like just sitting there. It's but actually it becomes where it is going to sound at least somewhat like what the artist has envisioned it, you know, or it sounds to them. So I think with vinyl, someone is going to make a deliberate listen as opposed to it just streaming and being in the background. You know, that's one of my little things I write on the records, especially with the Halo section, is that I've asked anyone who's, you know, really into what we've done to give it an uninterrupted listen, like the way you would have done Disintegration or Dark Side of the Moon or something. Certainly not comparing our records in that stratosphere, but the way you listen to that, you don't skip around, you don't put it on and go into the other room and do the dishes or eat or something. It's like, you know, I don't know. We live in a world there's 1,000 TV channels and most people can't find something they want to watch. So it's
or do that, folks, as well. Actually invite a group of friends around and actually have an evening where you talk and listen at the same time. It's marvelous. You'll be surprised. You actually get to know people, you know, because you can't really get to know people when you're staring at a TV screen. Michael, it's been beautiful as ever. Thank you so much for coming. I need to go now so I can go and cook and help everybody eat, etc. But we'll keep in touch. And you know, folks, if you haven't checked out the new album, please do. It's called Dancing with Angels by Beauty and Chaos. Don't just stream it. Go and buy it. 'Cause that's, you know, it makes all the difference. We'll be back with more My Music soon. Until then, thank you so much for listening. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, do go and share it so that other people can hear it too. Bye for now.
Thank you, my friend.